What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dose Media Network YouTube channel. I'm Ben Hauver, and today we are going to talk about the #1 running back play on DraftKings in Week 6 and whether or not you can play them in tournaments at what is going to be a very hefty ownership number. First things first, if you're new to the channel, man, help us out. It would mean a ton. Drop a like, subscribe. We put out tons of content every single week surrounding DFS, cash games, sports betting, including a late night live stream every Saturday evening, 10 p.m. Eastern. Come in, check it out. It's a great time. Chat with us. We answer questions and just generally supply the good vibes. So make sure you come through, say what's up. But without any further ado, let's get into Rhamondre Stevenson. Rhamondre is 6K on DraftKings this week, and he's projecting as one of, if not the single best DFS play that we've had on DK up to this point in 2022. Damian Harris left last week's game against Detroit with a hamstring injury. He will not play this week, and what that would mean for Rhamondre's usage, we saw immediately. In Week 5, Stevenson handled 90% of the snaps, touched the ball 27 times, and produced 175 yards from scrimmage. We've known all along that Rhamondre is an elite talent, and the lack of substantial workload would be his biggest obstacle to fantasy greatness. And with no Harris and no real competition on the Patriots roster in the backfield, that obstacle has been removed. If that doesn't sound sweet enough for you, the cherry on top is this sieve of a rush defense that the Cleveland Browns are trotting out every single week. Cleveland is allowing the 5th most yards to opposing running backs, 138.2 on the ground per average, and they have tied for the 3rd most rushing touchdowns allowed this season with 8. I say all this to say that on the surface, Rhamondre Stevenson is an absolute lock. You know, if you're playing cash games on DraftKings, you know, head-to-heads, double-ups, Stevenson is the first player you're plugging into your lineup, plain and simple. If you can find a prop on him anywhere in the market, I'm smashing the over, but good luck. I've looked everywhere. Sports books aren't even offering props on Stevenson because they know that anything that they put up that was even, reasonable is getting smashed, and they're getting obliterated on it. So why would they put it up? Makes sense, I guess. Literally the only thing that I could even find that was close to a Rhamondre Stevenson prop was his 16-point fantasy line on Prize Picks, which, by the way, is a smash. But listen, I know that you guys don't need me to sit here and tell you that Rhamondre Stevenson is a great play this week on DraftKings at 6K. Where things get tricky is, of course, in tournaments with the ownership, because it's going to be absolutely out of control. I think in large field, casual tournaments, things like the Millie Maker on DraftKings, he's going to come in with a floor ownership of like 35%, and I think it could get even higher than that. I think we could see 40 plus. I think we could see 45 in sharper fields, higher buy-in small field stuff. I think it's 40 plus just off rip. So we have to think about things contextually. If this slate plays out 10 times, is Rhamondre Stevenson having a ceiling game where you need to have him in 4 out of those 10 instances? Frankly, I don't believe he is. I think that, if you go back and you look at players that have projected like this in the past and, what have their outcomes been, Rhamondre Stevenson, I think, is most likely to finish somewhere between, say, 15 to 25 points in roughly 60 to 70% of outcomes. Now, could that be good enough in tournaments? Absolutely, especially this week when the running back pool itself appears to be generally weak. There are some standout options, but the guys that are going to stand out, value-wise are going to have a ton of ownership in their own right. Guys like Kenneth Walker, Benjamin, if James Conner officially gets ruled out today, still waiting on that information, and then Stevenson himself. I do think that, for all the reasons that I've mentioned, that Rhamondre Stevenson does have the potential ceiling to be a true separator this week. I think that you could end up needing him. I would never full fade him in tournaments. In fact, I think I'm more inclined to go overweight the field. If his ownership is going to be 40%, I'm going to have 80% exposure. Like, I know that sounds a little bit nuts, but I think that, going overweight on Stevenson this week is probably the optimal play. That being said, even if I want to be over on Stevenson this week, and I think that, viewers of this should be as well, you still have to do it in a smart way. And that's where I would, encourage people to look at the cumulative ownership of the lineup that they're playing Rhamondre Stevenson in. So for example, Tyler Lockett looks like he's going to be the chalkiest wide receiver on this slate with 30+% ownership. I would not play these two guys together. Whether you're hand building or whether you're setting up a rule in your optimizer, to not have Stevenson and Tyler Lockett in the same lineups. I think that those are the kind of things that you want to do. So, you're eating a ton of ownership if you play Josh Allen to Steph Diggs stacks with Rhamondre Stevenson built into the lineup. Probably too much ownership, to be honest, but if you play a Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce stack, two players who are going to be egregiously under-owned this week with Rhamondre Stevenson, you could still have a relatively unique lineup, unique stack with your chalky piece. Not only that, but with so much of the focus on this specific slate being in the 4 p.m. window with the two premier games, Bills and KC and Seattle, Arizona, facing off at 4 o'clock, Stevenson does offer you a lot of information in terms of late swappability by playing him early. If he busts, you have to get off the chalkiest stacks in the late slate. If he goes off, maybe you can lean into some of that chalk meat. Maybe you can keep your Josh Allen and Steph Diggs lineup in that scenario. Even still, though, I want to be very cognizant of how I'm getting unique in other ways in my lineups with Rhamondre. And finally, I will say that no matter how good a play on DraftKings is, if they are over 30%, there are reasons to fade. I'm not fading Rhamondre Stevenson this week, but I don't want to come out and just say a blanket statement like you have to fade him, you have to go overweight. I just think that you have to be smart about the way you play him. Don't eat into too much chalk in your Rhamondre Stevenson lineups. Get different and use him as either a chalky piece to give you information on contrarian stacks late, or find pivots that you like with other similar high ceilings at the position if you're playing a chalky stack. So if you're playing Josh Allen and Steph Diggs, maybe rather than Rhamondre in that lineup, I'm saving $200 to go down to Breece Hall, who we saw last week had 197 yards from scrimmage and has one of the better pass game roles of any running back in the league right now. All right, so I pivot to Breece Hall in my chalky Allen to Diggs stacks. That'll be it for this video, guys. Trying something new, just sort of with the very, very specific player take videos. If you like this kind of thing, drop a comment. Just sort of trying to fine tune the channel and see the best content that the people want to get. So we're always open to creating new types of content and tweaking the stuff we do. So drop a comment if you like this format of video, and then we'll keep doing it every single week. If not, maybe we'll just keep switching things up. Regardless, I do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video, and that'll be it. Have a great rest of your day.